Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about a color code. This is designed by Humleen Gupta, and it is published by Chili Island.
All right, you guys, have you ever heard someone talk about, oh, your energy is green, or, you know, your vibe is whatever color? There's even a song like with 311 that's like, Ember is the color of your energy. Have you heard that song?
Yes.
Yes. So, if you like those kinds of things, you might really enjoy playing color code, because that's exactly what you're doing. You are assigning a color to some kind of a concept, whether it's an item or whatever it is. You are assigning a color to it, and then you're trying to get everyone else at the table to guess what color you assigned to it. It's a full cooperative game. Let me show you how to play. All right, here's our setup for color code. Over here, we've got our display board. This is where we're going to be displaying our different clues and then also performing all of our guesses. Over here, we've got our color code board. This is going to be where we can kind of get some special abilities unlocked, as well as where we're going to get our score from. We're trying to get to at least 12 correct guesses out of around 18 based on the number of players. All right, let's say we're playing a 6-player game. We're all going to get a chance to play 3 clues. All right, so what's going to do, we're going to draw 3 at the top of the deck, and we are going to place them on the board. All right, so we've got weather, we've got Switzerland, and we've got dream. Now, the person whose turn it is, they're going to look at these color cards, and they're going to choose these cards based off of all these kind of clues. So you know what? Maybe it's been really, really cloudy lately, and the weather, so they're thinking gray over here for weather. They're going to put that face down. Switzerland, we'll come back to that in a minute. But you know what we do have? We do have dream, and we really think that one could be kind of cloud-based, dreaming, clouding, that kind of stuff. So we're going to put a blue one there. All right, so now we've got a tricky one, Switzerland. When I think of Switzerland, I think of the Switzerland flag, which is red and white. So I don't know what to put there, red or white. Well, guess what? We've got some clues that can help us out. We've got 3 different clues that we can use here, but once you use them, they're gone. So you kind of want to use them sparingly. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this one. This one allows us to place 2 separate clues. So we are going to place a red and a white there. We're going to put them face down. That way, if either one of those cards are guessed, that's going to be considered correct. We also have over here a clue that basically kind of tells you, you know what, this one's personal for a certain person at the table. Let's say one of the ones I used recently with Bethany was we'd recently purchased a bike for our daughter, and it was purple. And the car that came out there was bike. So obviously I could have gone black for tires, or I could have gone gray for like some of the metal. But I wanted to go for purple, so I chose this one here, and I said that person's name, Bethany. And that's all I could say, was the name of the person and the fact that this clue that I was giving, that color clue, was in some way personal to that between me and that person. The other thing that we can do is we can use this one here. This basically says, you know what, we are not going to use a certain color, and we're going to show you what that is. So maybe, specifically for weather, but really it would apply to all of these, we're going to say that we did not use the color yellow. So maybe I was thinking they were going to be thinking about the sunshine regarding weather, and they were kind of tempted to put in the color yellow. This is basically saying, using that token allows you to say, no yellow in this game this round. So now, cooperatively, the other players, they're all going to look at their colors. These are all open to knowledge. They're going to look through them all. They're going to kind of think, okay, well, weather, it's not sunny. What else could it be? Maybe it's blue skies. So they're kind of thinking about that. Haven't quite locked it in yet. Switzerland, they're like, oh, well, shoot. I know their flag is red and white. Which one should I put? Of course, as the person who set it up, we're good either way. But let's say they choose red and they lock it in. One of the things you can do when you're really, really confident about something, you have 3 of these tokens. These allow you to score that card twice. Again, you're trying to get to 12 points. If you get that one right, not only is it right by itself, but by kind of gambling on that one, you might get an additional point as well. But because we gave the clue there, and maybe it was kind of obvious in some way for them, they felt confident in order to gamble on this one. And for Dream, they're thinking white for clouds. They're going to lock that one in. The person sitting to the right of the active player is going to be considered the color master. So what's going to happen is they get the final say. So maybe they're not quite sure on that blue. You know what? I'm not sure. I kind of like black for storm clouds or gray for kind of stormy cloud weather, that kind of thing. They're going to make the final call. I'm going to go with gray on this one, or whatever the case is. All right, so once the color master has locked in all their choices, now we flip things over to see how we did. Gray, perfect. We get a point. And we had 2 choices here. Fantastic. Our red matched with their red, and we have an extra point there. But you know what? We're on the same wavelength, but not quite locked in. They were thinking clouds. We were thinking clouds, but it didn't quite work out. We didn't have to get that point. We did, however, get 3 points. We're going to mark that on our color board here. We have 3 points, and then we're going to rotate to the next person. They are now the color coder, and the person who was the color coder is now the color master. They get to kind of make the final calls for that person to their left. We're going to keep on going around the table until all the cards that we have selected from the beginning of the game are used. At that point, we're going to add up our score and see how we did. You get kind of a grade. If you have 12 or more cards, you're considered to have done perfectly. That's a great job. And you have kind of levels 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can kind of have a grade to kind of gauge how well you did. And that's how you play Color Code.
When Ryan was explaining how to play this game, I just, wasn't sure about it, right? Because I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work as a concept. It totally did work as a concept, and it totally stretched your mind. It's so abstract, and I wasn't sure when people were putting things out what they were really saying. And all you do is really learn about people when you play this game. You really see what's inside of them. You find out how many people's opinions are wrong.
That's not how that works.
Yes. But it was super challenging to try to figure out what color somebody is associating with an abstract idea, and they were often wrong.
I agree with everything you're saying, except for the fact about how people should think, because this is, it's so abstract and it's so strange to try to assign colors to these things that don't have colors to them necessarily.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where those special ability tiles really come in handy, where you can do things like have two choices. You know what? Maybe it could be this or this. I'm not sure which way they're going to think, so put them both in there. Spend with the special ability tiles. Yeah. Or like I mentioned, that scenario where we have our daughter has a purple bike, and being able to kind of point Bethany in that direction because we have a connection with a color and a bike, instead of just doing the normal grays or blacks or whatever might be associated with a bicycle. So I like having those special abilities. Were really, really cool, and they kind of changed the scope of the game in terms of how the ability to mind meld with someone was enhanced with those tiles. And also the fact that you could double down and maybe possibly score double points on something that you're really sure on. And what's really fun is when you double down on something and then you weren't right at all.
I know. This is what I'm talking about. People's opinions are wrong. They're just wrong.
They just don't match yours. I would argue percentage-wise, other people's match up better than yours.
I cannot argue with Ryan on that point.
We could not be partners in a lot of games like this.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
Like code names, we just aren't on the same wavelength.
We just can't. We have to be on separate teams. It just does not work. Except for that purple bike. That worked. That worked really well. So there's also this thing in the game where it kind of becomes more challenging. There's different levels depending on how many you get right. So every single time you get a certain amount right, another color is added. So another color is added for the person to choose from for that concept, and then another color is obviously added for you to think of what they chose from. So just as soon as you're like, okay, I got a handle on this, bam! Another color is added, and you don't have a handle on it at all.
I mean, it's weird because you get to have more nuances, more colors to choose from, but then you also have more colors to choose from. So if this is a very specific clue, sometimes they really help, sometimes they don't. You guys, there's not a lot to describe about this game. I mean, it's simply that you've got you got some words, you give them a color, and then your partner guesses that color. That's the game. But what this did for me was it just kind of surprised me about just how much thinkiness was involved, right? There's a certain amount of silliness too.
Yes. Yeah.
You are like, what do I don't know. You can overthink things really easily, right? And you can maybe they're talking about the sky being, gray because of storm clouds, or maybe they're talking about that one part of Pirates of the Caribbean where the sky turns green for a second.
Or if you think that one is for sure a certain color, right? And this other one is also for sure that color. You're just like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
And sometimes it's easy as the sky is blue, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's just that easy. But I love having those discussions and that interrogation of each other and trying to figure out what they're talking about. It just creates these really fun little moments. And it's the box says 30 minutes, and I think that's probably about right, maybe even a little less. It's just a fun, good time around the table. This is great for families. I think it's great for gamers. I think this is a fun one.
Yeah, I really did enjoy this one. It was very abstract and very thinky and in a different way than I think a lot of our thinky games are, but you really had to try to understand people as opposed to try and play the game, because you're on the same team and you just want to pass the level. So this is really just a dissection of how you think versus how other people think, and I failed that a lot. But that is okay. I did enjoy that. I did enjoy trying to dissect that and figure that out and just try to get to know people in a different way. Like, this is bringing about conversations that you just would not have.
Right.
You just won't have it on a normal basis. And so that was just really cool to see that. I definitely enjoyed this one. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.